Hi students! Today we are going to talk about renting an apartment. Now some of you probably already have experience renting an apartment. If you don't, chances are you will in the future. And it might be kind of scary or overwhelming to rent an apartment when you're using the English language, but I'm here to help you learn some vocabulary words and phrases. So let's start out. The first one is landlord or landlady, or you can also say manager. This is the person that you are renting the apartment from. So when you talk to someone on the phone, it's probably the landlord or the manager. Tenant. The tenant is you. You are the person renting, so you're the renter or the tenant. The next one is lease. A lease is a contract that states that you will be staying in the apartment for a certain amount of time. Usually leases are for about a year. And so when you sign a lease, you are promising that you will stay in the apartment for about a year. The next one is utilities. Utilities are things like gas, water, and electricity. Sometimes utilities are not included in the rent, and so it's important to ask the landlord, are utilities included in the rent? Okay? So you'll also hear a word or a phrase that is comes to, and let me explain that. Let's say for utilities, the gas is about $40, electricity is $30, and water is $20. And so the total amount is $90. Sometimes people say utilities comes to about $90. And you'll probably hear this when you go to the store and make a purchase, and the cashier will say that comes to $10.50. So that's something that you might need to be aware of. A deposit. A deposit is money that you give the landlord, and then he holds that money until you move out. So if you don't break anything and you don't damage anything in the apartment, you generally will get your deposit back at the end of your lease when you move out. And that leads us to these words down here: move in, move out. Move in simply means when you come to the apartment and bring all your stuff. When you move out, you leave. You take everything with you. That's move out. Generally, you'll be asked to pay first and last month's rent. So if rent is $800, you might be asked to pay the first month's rent, $800, and the last month's rent, or the last month you'll be staying in the apartment, which is also $800. So the total will be $1,600. Another word that is useful is laundromat. When you are talking to the landlord, you might want to ask him, is a washer and dryer in the apartment? And sometimes the answer will be no. But there are places called laundromats, and that's where you can go and use a washer and dryer and use coins to operate it, okay? Another word is furnished. Furnished means that the apartment includes furniture. If it's unfurnished, then the apartment does not include furniture. So that might be a good question to ask the landlord. If you don't have furniture, you might be looking for a furnished apartment. So those are just a few of the vocabulary words for renting an apartment. And now you are going to get together in pairs and do a role play as a landlord and a renter.